Welcome back to my channel Sleep Beneath History, my friend. Tonight, we are going to take a slow walk through one of the most famous nights and days in medieval history. We are going to Constantinople, a city that had stood for more than 1,000 years. A city of high walls, a city of churches, a city of market, homes, workshops, gardens, ships, and narrow streets. For centuries, Constantinople had been one of the great cities of the world. But on the night of May 28, 1453, the people inside the city knew that something was different. The Ottoman army was waiting outside. Thousands of soldiers were gathered around the walls. Great guns stood ready. Tents covered the land beyond the city. And inside Constantinople, the defenders were tired. Very tired. The city had been under siege for weeks. The walls had been struck again and again. Stone had fallen. Buildings had been damaged. People had gone hungry. And yet that evening, something strange happened. For a short time, the city became quiet. So tonight, as you settle down and let the day become softer around you, imagine that you are standing inside Constantinople. Imagine the evening air. Imagine the sound of distant footsteps. Imagine the flickering light of small lamps. And imagine looking toward the great walls and knowing that morning may bring the final battle. We will move slowly, hour by hour, street by street, wall by wall. We will listen to the people who lived through those final hours. We will look at the soldiers, the sailors, the families, the emperor, the priests, and the ordinary people who had no idea what the next sunrise would bring. Before we begin, if you enjoy these quiet journeys through history, you can support the channel by liking the video, leaving a comment, and subscribing. A gentle way to say that is, welcome back to my channel. If you enjoy listening to this story, please like, comment, and subscribe. And now, let us leave the modern world behind. Let the room become quiet. Let the lights become low. And let us travel back to the year 1453. The city is Constantinople. The date is May 28. The sun has already begun to disappear. The final night is beginning. So take a slow breath and imagine the city. Imagine Constantinople. Imagine the walls. Imagine the sea. And imagine the darkness beyond them. Constantinople was not an ordinary city. For many centuries, people had looked at it with wonder. It stood beside the waters of the Bosporus. To one side was Europe. To the other was Asia. Ships passed through the narrow waterway. Merchants arrived from distant lands. Sailors carried goods from the Black Sea. Traders came from the Mediterranean. People spoke many languages. Different customs lived beside one another. And above much of the city stood the great churches. The most famous was Hagia Sophia. Its huge dome rose above the city. For hundreds of years, it had been one of the most remarkable buildings in the Christian world. But by 1453, Constantinople was no longer the enormous city it had once been. Its population had fallen greatly over the centuries. Some districts were filled with homes. Other places had gardens and empty land. There were old buildings that had seen better days. There were broken streets. There were quiet corners where grass grew between stones. The empire around the city had also become very small. The Byzantine Empire, which had once ruled enormous lands, now held little more than Constantinople and a few scattered territories. The city remained important, but its power had become a shadow of what it had once been. And now a new power stood outside. The Ottoman Empire. Its ruler was a young sultan. His name was Mehmed. He was only 21 years old. Yet he had come with a very clear goal. He wanted Constantinople, not simply for its wealth, not simply for its location. He wanted the city because it was one of the great prizes of the world, and because it stood directly in the path of Ottoman expansion. For weeks, his army had surrounded the city. The defenders had watched the Ottoman camp grow. They had heard the guns. They had seen smoke rising from the battlefield. They had repaired broken walls, then repaired them again, and again. But by the evening of May 28, there was little left to repair. The final attack was coming. As evening settled over Constantinople, people moved through the streets. Some walked toward churches. Some carried candles. Some searched for relatives. Some simply stood and watched the walls. The city had become a place of waiting. There was little more that ordinary people could do. The soldiers had their positions. The priests had their prayers. The emperor had his responsibilities. The Ottoman army had its orders. Everyone knew what was coming. But knowing something will happen does not make waiting for it easier. A person can wait for an hour, then another, and every minute becomes longer. The people of Constantinople had been waiting for weeks. Now there was only one night left. The emperor of Constantinople was Constantine XI Palaiologos. He was not ruling a great empire anymore. He was ruling a city surrounded by an enormous enemy army. Yet he remained with his people. He had been present during the defense. He moved between different parts of the city. He spoke with soldiers. He listened to reports. He tried to understand where the Ottoman attack would come. His soldiers were exhausted. Many had been fighting for weeks. Some were wounded. Some had lost friends. Some had barely slept. Still, they prepared for another night, another morning, another defense. The walls were their shield. The sea was another shield. And the people inside the city were depending on both. Now imagine walking toward the northern side of the city. There you would find the Golden Horn. The Golden Horn was a long protected harbor. It was one of the reasons Constantinople had been so difficult to attack. The entrance to the harbor could be blocked by a massive chain. The chain stretched across the water. It prevented enemy ships from entering easily. For the defenders, the harbor was extremely important. Ships inside could bring supplies. They could carry soldiers. They could protect the waterfront. But the Ottoman army had already shown that it could do unexpected things. Earlier in the siege, Ottoman forces had moved ships over land. The ships were placed on wooden platforms. Men and animals helped pull them across the land. Then the ships were lowered into the Golden Horn. It was an extraordinary sight, and it had frightened the defenders, because it showed them something important. The Ottoman army was willing to solve problems in unusual ways. The city could no longer depend on its old defenses alone. Everything was changing, slowly, quietly, and now the final night was here. As darkness deepened, small lights appeared across Constantinople. Candles, oil lamps, torches. The city was not completely dark, but the light was soft, and in many places people gathered together. Some prayed, some whispered, some ate whatever food remained. Some tried to sleep. Perhaps a mother placed a child beside her. Perhaps an old man sat near a doorway. Perhaps a soldier leaned against a wall and closed his eyes for a few minutes. History often remembers emperors. It remembers armies. It remembers battles. But on a night like this, history was also made by ordinary people. A baker, a fisherman, a shopkeeper, a servant, a young soldier, an elderly woman, a child. All of them were inside the same city. All of them were waiting for morning. And beyond the walls, the Ottoman camp was also awake. Thousands of men were preparing. Weapons were being checked. Orders were being passed. Animals were being moved. Food was being prepared. Soldiers gathered near their commanders. The enormous Ottoman army was getting ready. But from inside the city, much of this could only be imagined. The defenders could hear sounds. They could see fires. They could sometimes see movement. But darkness hid much of the enemy. That darkness must have made the waiting even harder. As midnight approached, the city became quieter. Not silent. Never completely silent. There would still be footsteps. Still the sound of voices. Still the movement of soldiers. Still the creaking of wood. Still the distant sounds from the Ottoman camp. But compared with the noise of battle, it was quiet. Imagine standing on the wall. The stone beneath your feet is cold. The night air moves gently around you. Below, the city is dark. Behind you are homes and churches. Ahead of you is the Ottoman army. Far away, small fires glow in the darkness. You cannot see every soldier. You cannot know exactly where the attack will begin. But you know it is coming. You look toward the horizon. There is no sunrise yet. Only darkness. And perhaps for a few moments, the city feels almost peaceful. This is one of the strange things about history. A great change can come after a very ordinary moment. A person may be eating dinner. Someone may be washing a cup. A soldier may be tying his shoe. A child may be falling asleep. And somewhere beyond the darkness, armies may already be moving. The people of Constantinople did not know exactly how their final hours would unfold. They knew only that they had reached the end of the siege. There would be no easy escape. There would be no large army arriving from the west. There would be no sudden rescue fleet appearing on the horizon. The city had to face the morning with the strength it still had. During these final hours, Emperor Constantine continued to move among his defenders. Try to imagine him walking through the dark streets. He would have seen soldiers carrying weapons. He would have seen wounded men. He would have seen people praying. He would have seen families gathered together. And he would have known something that few rulers ever have to face. The empire he represented was almost finished. Yet the people were still there. The city was still there. The walls were still standing. The churches were still filled with light. And so the defense continued. Constantine was not simply watching from a distant palace. He was part of the defense. He knew that the coming battle could be his last. His final hours were connected to the final hours of the city. And somewhere in those quiet streets, people were preparing themselves in their own ways. Some found comfort in prayer. Some found comfort in family. Some found comfort in simply being together. As the night continued, many people gathered in and around Hagia Sophia. For centuries, the church had been at the heart of Constantinople. Its dome had watched over generations. Emperors had entered its doors. Children had been baptized there. Weddings had taken place there. Funerals had taken place there. Prayers had been spoken there. And now, on the final night, the people came once again. There were priests. There were soldiers. There were families. There were citizens. The atmosphere was deeply emotional. But for our quiet journey tonight, we do not need to imagine shouting or panic. Instead, imagine candlelight. Imagine a large dark interior. Imagine voices speaking softly. Imagine people standing close together. Perhaps some looked upward toward the enormous dome. Perhaps some held small candles. Perhaps some simply stood quietly. Outside, the city waited. Inside, people prayed. The future was uncertain. But for a short time, everyone was together. The hours passed slowly. Midnight came. Then the first hours after midnight. The Ottoman army remained outside. The defenders remained at their posts. The city remained behind its walls. There was no way to stop time. The night was moving toward morning. And every person inside Constantinople was moving toward the same unknown moment. The final attack. It is easy, from our modern world, to imagine that people in 1453 understood exactly what would happen. But they did not. They knew the danger. They knew the Ottoman army was enormous. They knew the walls had been damaged. They knew they were exhausted. But no one could know every detail of the coming day. No one knew exactly where they would be when the fighting began. No one knew who would survive. No one knew how long the walls would hold. And no one inside the city could have imagined how people centuries later would remember this night. To them, it was simply their present, their homes, their families, their city, their final night. Let us now return to the walls. The walls of Constantinople were among the strongest defenses of the medieval world. They had protected the city for centuries. They had survived earlier attacks. They had seen emperors come and go. They had watched armies gather outside. Now they were damaged, but they still stood. Soldiers waited along them. Some held bows. Some carried swords. Some had spears. Others carried tools for repairing damaged sections. There were foreign defenders too. One of the most important commanders was Giovanni Giustiniani Longo, a Genoese soldier who had come to help the city. He had brought experienced men with him. His soldiers helped defend the walls. The defenders came from different backgrounds: Greeks, Genoese, Venetians, and others. They did not all share the same language. They did not all share the same home. But on this night, they shared the same wall, the same danger, the same city. Now slowly, let us turn our attention beyond the walls. Imagine the Ottoman camp stretching across the fields. There would be countless tents, fires, animals, weapons, soldiers, commanders, supplies. The army was not a single group of men standing in one place. It was a huge collection of different people. There were regular soldiers. There were special troops. There were sailors. There were engineers. There were workers. There were men responsible for the great cannons. There were commanders giving orders. And at the center of this enormous force stood Sultan Mehmed. He had spent years preparing for this moment. He had built ships. He had gathered soldiers. He had brought enormous guns. He had surrounded the city. And now he was ready to make his final attempt. The city was no longer simply a distant dream. It was directly in front of him. The Ottoman guns had changed the siege. The largest cannon was enormous for its time. It had been associated with an engineer named Orban, who had offered his skills to the Ottoman ruler. The weapon was difficult to move. It required many men and animals. It fired huge stone balls. Each shot was slow. The cannon could not fire like a modern weapon. But when it fired, the sound must have been enormous. Inside the city, people would hear the deep roar. The stone ball would strike the walls. Dust would rise. Stone would break. Then, after the noise, there would be silence again. And the defenders would begin repairs. This had happened many times. Now the defenders knew the guns would fire again. The great guns were waiting for morning. Imagine walking through one of the quieter streets now. The buildings are close together. The ground is uneven. A small lamp burns beside a doorway. A person sits quietly inside. Perhaps they are speaking to a family member. Perhaps they are praying. Perhaps they are simply listening. The city smells of smoke, stone, wood, food, the sea, the night air. There is nothing modern here. No electric lights. No engines. No distant sounds of cars. Only human movement. Wind, water, animals, and the occasional sound from the walls. You might hear someone calling to another soldier. Then footsteps. Then quiet again. The final night is passing. As the night moves toward the early morning hours, the defenders become more tired. Some soldiers have been awake for a long time. Some have been fighting for weeks. The body wants rest. The mind wants quiet. But there is little rest to be found. The enemy is outside. The walls are damaged. The final attack is coming. Still, the people continue. This is how many great moments in history actually feel. Not like a grand story. Not like a painting. But like exhaustion. Cold stone. Dry mouths. Heavy eyes. A quiet conversation. A small flame. A person wondering what tomorrow will bring. And so we will stay with these people. We will not rush. We will not turn the night into a spectacle. We will simply watch. The hours pass. The candles burn lower. The fires outside continue to glow. And the darkness slowly begins to change. There is a moment before sunrise when night feels deepest. The sky is still dark. But morning is approaching. The people inside Constantinople may not have been able to see it yet. The Ottoman soldiers were preparing. The defenders were waiting. The city was breathing quietly. Soon the first light would appear. Soon the final battle would begin. But for now, there was still darkness. Still a little time. Still a few moments of peace. Imagine standing beside the wall one last time. Look behind you. The city. The homes. The churches. The narrow streets. The people. Look ahead. The dark fields. The Ottoman camp. The waiting army. And above you the night sky. For a moment nothing happens. The city simply waits. And as the night grows quiet, let us pause here. Take a slow breath. The first light of May 29 is coming. And with it, the final hours of Constantinople. In the next chapter, we will watch the darkness begin to lift. We will follow the Ottoman preparations. We will return to the walls. And we will move slowly into the first hours of the final attack. The city has survived the night. But morning is coming. And morning will change everything. For now, let the scene become still. Let the candles become smaller. Let the distant fires fade into the darkness. And let us wait together for the first light. The night is almost over. Inside Constantinople, the candles have burned low. Some fires are still glowing. Some people have managed to sleep for a short while. Others have remained awake. Along the walls, soldiers are still watching. The stone beneath their feet is cold. The air is quiet. But the quiet will not last. The sky in the east is beginning to change. Very slowly. At first, there is almost no difference. The darkness simply becomes a little softer. The black sky turns into a deep gray. Then a faint line of light appears far beyond the city. Morning is coming. It is May 29, 1453. The final day of Constantinople. Take a slow breath. Imagine yourself standing on the walls. Look out across the land. The Ottoman camp is still there. But now, in the growing light, you can begin to see it more clearly. Rows of tents, moving figures, horses, smoke from fires, weapons, soldiers, thousands upon thousands of men. The darkness had hidden much of it. Morning reveals it. And suddenly, the defenders can see just how large the Ottoman army is. Yet inside the city, the people are also preparing. The churches have been filled. The streets have begun to stir. Soldiers are moving toward their positions. The final day has begun. The Ottoman army did not simply wake up and rush toward the walls. The final assault had been planned. Different groups would attack at different times. The first attackers would be used to weaken the defenders. They would force the men on the walls to fight. They would make them tired. They would test the damaged sections. They would create pressure. Then other troops would come. And later, the strongest Ottoman soldiers would make their move. The plan was simple in one sense. Keep the defenders busy. Keep them tired. Keep striking. Find a weak place. And eventually enter the city. Inside Constantinople, the defenders had their own plan. They would stay behind the walls. They would repair damage where they could. They would move men to threatened areas. They would use every advantage they still had. The walls were damaged, but they had not fallen. And as long as the walls remained standing, Constantinople remained alive. Somewhere inside the city, Emperor Constantine prepared himself for the final day. There was no large imperial army waiting behind him. There was no hidden reserve of thousands of soldiers. The city had only a small number of defenders compared with the Ottoman army. But numbers were not everything. The walls mattered. The defenders knew the streets. They knew the gates. They knew where the damage was. They knew which places needed protection. And Constantine understood that the day ahead would require everything they had. Imagine the emperor moving through the city. He may have passed people carrying supplies, soldiers carrying weapons, priests moving toward churches, citizens standing quietly near their homes. The emperor would have known that this was probably the last day of the empire he ruled. Yet he still had work to do. There was no time for long sadness. There was only the defense. The city had to be prepared. As the light grew stronger, the city slowly filled with sound. Doors opened. Footsteps moved across stone. Animals made quiet sounds. People spoke in low voices. From the harbor came the sound of ships. On the walls, soldiers called to one another. The morning air carried these sounds across the city. Then from beyond the walls, something else began. The Ottoman army was moving. The defenders could see soldiers gathering. The waiting was ending. The final attack was beginning. At first, the sounds were distant. Then they became clearer. More men moved toward the walls. More weapons appeared. The defenders lifted their own weapons. And then came the first attacks. The first soldiers to move toward the wall were not necessarily the strongest troops. Their purpose was different. They were there to create pressure. They came forward. The defenders watched them approach. The walls gave the defenders height. That mattered. A soldier standing behind a wall had some protection. A soldier approaching from the ground had to move across open space. The defenders could fire downward. They could throw objects. They could use bows. They could use firearms of the period. They could use stones and other weapons. The Ottoman soldiers had to cross the dangerous ground. The first fighting began. The city had entered its final battle. But even now, it was not one continuous storm. It came in waves. Movement. Attack. Retreat. Another attack. Another pause. The defenders watched. The Ottoman commanders watched. Everyone was learning. Everyone was measuring the walls. To understand the battle, it helps to understand the walls. The famous land wall stretched across the western side of the city. They were not just one simple wall. They were a large defensive system. There were different layers. There were towers. There were gates. There were open spaces between some sections. The system had protected Constantinople for centuries. But the Ottoman cannons had changed the situation. The stone balls had struck the walls again and again. Sections had collapsed. Other sections had been weakened. The defenders had repaired them, using whatever they could find. Stone, wood, earth, debris, anything that could fill a gap. The repairs could make a broken section strong enough to defend. But they could not make the wall completely new. And the defenders knew it. The Ottomans knew it too. One important area was known as the Mesotition. This was a central section of the land walls. It was especially important because it was a place where the Ottoman artillery had caused serious damage. The emperor himself was deeply involved in the defense of this area. Justinian and his men were also active there. The defenders knew that if the Ottomans broke through this section, the city would be in terrible danger. So men gathered there. They watched the approach. They repaired damage. They waited. The first attacks pushed toward the walls, but the defenders held. For now, the sun rises higher. The battlefield becomes clearer. Smoke hangs in the air. The walls are dusty. The ground outside is disturbed by movement. The city behind the walls is still alive. People carry water. Some bring food. Some carry messages. Some help the wounded. The battle is no longer something distant. It is happening right beside them. Yet there are still quiet moments. A person may stand behind a wall and breathe. A wounded soldier may sit for a moment. A priest may whisper a prayer. A child may be kept indoors. A mother may hold a younger child close. Life and war exist side by side. This is often how cities experience battle. The fighting may be only a short distance away. But inside homes, ordinary actions continue. Someone closes a door. Someone moves a chair. Someone prepares water. Someone waits. The first Ottoman attacks do not immediately break the walls. The defenders fight hard. They know the terrain. They know their positions. They know that every hour matters. The Ottoman army has many more soldiers, but the walls prevent those soldiers from using their full strength at once. Only a limited number can attack a particular section. This is one of the reasons Constantinople had survived so many sieges in the past. A smaller force could defend a wall against a larger force. But there was a problem. The defenders were tired. There were not enough men to replace them easily. Every wounded soldier mattered. Every death mattered. Every broken weapon mattered. Every hour of sleep lost mattered. The Ottoman army could continue bringing men forward. The defenders could not replace their losses so easily. Then the great guns begin to fire. The sound travels across the land. A deep roar. A pause. Another roar. The stone balls strike the walls. Dust rises. Pieces of stone fall. The defenders move quickly toward the damaged areas. Workers carry materials. Soldiers protect them. Men push earth and stones into gaps. They work while the guns fire. There is no perfect safety. There is no perfect repair. They simply do what they can. Imagine the smell of dust. Imagine the rough stone under your hands. Imagine the sound of shouting around you. Then imagine someone calling for more material. Another person carrying a heavy piece of wood. Another soldier looking over the wall. Another cannon firing. And then silence. For a few moments, the work continues. Let us move away from the battlefield for a moment. Walk deeper into Constantinople. The city is still enormous in feeling, even if its population has become much smaller. There are old streets, churches, monasteries, homes, markets, gardens, stone buildings, wooden buildings, courtyards, fountains, small shops. The people who live here know these places. They have walked these streets many times. They know which baker makes good bread. They know where to buy oil. They know where the water can be found. They know which church has the quietest corner. They know their neighbors. The city is not simply a fortress. It is home. And now that home is being attacked. For the people inside, the walls are not an abstract military structure. They are the line between their homes and the enemy outside. On the water, ships are still important. The Golden Horn remains a protected area. The defenders understand that the sea can offer another layer of safety. But the Ottoman fleet is nearby. Ships wait. Sailors wait. The water moves gently beneath them. Even on a day of battle, the sea does not care. The waves continue. The wind continues. Birds continue to move above the water. The Bosporus continues to flow. This contrast must have been strange. A great city was fighting for survival. Yet the sea looked almost unchanged. The water did not know that an empire was ending. It simply moved. As the morning continues, the first Ottoman attacks begin to lose their strength. The defenders have held. The Ottoman commanders now have information. They have learned where the defenders are strongest. They have seen which parts of the walls are most damaged. They have tested the reactions of the soldiers. Now they prepare for the next stage. The defenders understand that the first attack was not the end. They know more is coming. They use the pause to repair, to rest, to move men, to bring water, to care for wounded soldiers. The battlefield becomes strangely quiet again. Not peaceful, just quieter. There is smoke in the air. The walls are damaged. The ground is marked by fighting. But for a short time, the defenders can breathe. The Ottoman forces prepare again. This time, stronger troops move forward. The defenders watch. The men on the walls understand what this means. Another wave. Another test. Another attempt to enter the city. The soldiers raise their weapons. The attackers come closer. The walls become noisy again. The defenders fire. The attackers climb. Some reach the outer defenses. Others fall back. The fighting continues. Yet the city still holds. The Ottoman commanders are patient. Mehmed has not brought his army here to make one careless attack. He knows the defenders are exhausted. He knows time is on his side. The city is running out of men. The city is running out of supplies. The walls are weakening, and the Ottoman army remains outside. Among the defenders, Giustiniani remains one of the important figures. His experience matters. He moves where the fighting is hardest. His men follow him. He knows that the central area is critical. The defenders depend on experienced soldiers like him. Constantine also remains near the danger. The emperor and the Genoese commander are both involved in the defense. This is not a distant battle being watched from a palace. The leaders are close to the walls, close to the soldiers, close to the danger, and the hours continue. Inside the city, prayer continues. Church bells may be heard. People gather together. The religious life of Constantinople is deeply connected to the crisis. For many people, prayer is not simply something they do when nothing else is happening. It is something they turn toward when they have no control over what comes next. They cannot stop the cannons. They cannot command the Ottoman army to leave. They cannot repair every broken wall. But they can pray. They can stand together. They can hope. They can ask for strength. Imagine a quiet church. The battle is outside. Inside, candles burn. People speak softly. The walls of the church hold the sound. For a few minutes, the war may feel far away. Then another distant sound reminds everyone that it is still there. Constantinople in 1453 was already a city of memory. Everywhere there were reminders of the past. Old Roman buildings, old churches, old roads, old walls, old monuments. The city had once been the center of a vast empire. Its emperors had ruled territories across Europe, Asia, and the Mediterranean. Its ships had traveled widely. Its scholars had written books. Its churches had shaped Christian history. But now the city was surrounded. The empire had become very small, and the young Ottoman ruler outside was building something new. The fall of Constantinople would not mean that the people disappeared. It would mean that the political world around them changed. The city would continue. Its streets would continue. Its buildings would continue. Its people would continue. But the empire that had ruled it for centuries would end. The defenders did not know all of this yet. They were simply trying to survive the morning. Time passes. The sun rises higher, then higher still. The battle continues in waves. The defenders remain at their positions. The Ottoman army keeps moving. The walls are struck. Repairs are made. The wounded are carried away. Water is passed from hand to hand. Food is shared. Messages travel. And every person is becoming more tired. Imagine how heavy the air must have felt. Dust, smoke, heat, sweat, the smell of stone, the smell of metal, the sound of voices, the sound of weapons, the sound of animals, and between all of these sounds, moments of silence. A soldier might close his eyes for a second, then open them again. Another man might lean against the wall, then straighten when he hears shouting. A defender might look toward the city behind him. Perhaps he sees the roof of his home. Perhaps he sees a church. Perhaps he sees nothing but smoke. The battle is changing the city even before the walls fall. Outside, maimed watches. He understands that the defenders are tired. He also understands that the city is close to its limit. The first attacks have not achieved the final goal, but they have used energy. They have forced the defenders to remain alert. They have shown where resistance is strongest. Now the Ottoman army prepares for something more serious. The next stage will involve stronger troops. The defenders will face men who have been kept ready for the most important part of the attack. Among them are the Janissaries. These soldiers are highly trained and disciplined. They are being held back, waiting, watching. The defenders may not know exactly what is coming, but they can feel that the pressure is increasing. Now imagine the city under the brighter light of day. The walls that looked mysterious in darkness are now clearly visible. Damage can be seen. Broken stones, scattered earth, wooden repairs. The towers stand above the battlefield. Smoke rises into the sky. The sea shines in the distance. Inside the city, people move through streets carrying messages and supplies. Some areas remain strangely calm. Others are filled with activity. The contrast is almost peaceful from a distance. A city under sunlight. A blue sky. A shining sea. Old buildings. And at the edge of it all, an enormous army. This is the final day. But the city is still alive. For centuries, Constantinople had seen mornings. Thousands of ordinary mornings. People waking. Bread being baked. Ships entering the harbor. Children walking through streets. Merchants opening shops. Priests preparing services. Workers going to their jobs. Emperors beginning their duties. Farmers arriving with food. Sailors preparing their boats. Every morning was simply another morning. But this morning was different. It was the morning that would become famous. The morning later generations would remember. Yet the people living through it could not see the future. They only saw the present. And the present was difficult. Still, the sun continued to rise. The city continued to stand. And the defenders continued to fight. Let us pause here. The first major stages of the attack have passed. The defenders have survived. But their situation is becoming worse. The Ottoman army is preparing stronger forces. The walls are damaged. The defenders are exhausted. And the most important fighting is still ahead. For a moment, imagine the city becoming quiet again. A soldier drinks water. A priest lights another candle. A wounded man rests. A messenger walks quickly through a street. The sea moves gently. The sun crosses the sky. And beyond the walls, more Ottoman soldiers are preparing. The final day is moving forward. Slowly, hour by hour. There is still time, but not much. And as the afternoon approaches, the pressure will become heavier. The great walls will be tested again. The defenders will be pushed closer to their limit. And the young sultan outside the city will prepare to make his final move. For now, take another slow breath. Let the battlefield fade for a moment. Imagine only the old city. The warm light on the stone. The quiet streets behind the walls. The distant sound of the sea. And the people waiting. Waiting for the next attack. Waiting for the next hour. Waiting to see whether the walls of Constantinople will still be standing when the sun begins to fall. The morning has passed. The sun is now higher above Constantinople. The light falls gently across the old walls. From a distance, the city may still look peaceful. The towers are still standing. The churches are still there. The sea continues to move beside the city. But around the walls, the ground tells another story. There are broken stones, pieces of wood, marks left by cannon fire, wounded men, tired soldiers, and beyond everything, the Ottoman army. The final day is moving slowly toward afternoon. Inside Constantinople, the defenders have survived the first attacks. But survival is becoming harder. The Ottoman army has not gone away. It has not become weaker. And the defenders know that another attack will come. So imagine yourself inside the city. Imagine standing near one of the damaged sections of the wall. You can hear distant voices. You can hear footsteps. You can hear the movement of carts. You can smell dust in the air. The stone beneath your hands is rough and warm from the sun. The battle has become quieter for a moment, but everyone knows that the quiet will not last. The defenders are using these precious moments to repair the walls. They carry stones. They move pieces of wood. They fill holes with earth. They strengthen weak places. There are no endless supplies. There are no large groups of fresh workers waiting somewhere nearby. There are simply tired people doing what they can. A broken section of wall becomes a pile of stones. That pile becomes another barrier. A gap is filled with earth. Wood is placed across a weak place. Anything useful is carried toward the damaged sections. The work is exhausting, but the defenders understand something very simple. The wall does not need to be perfect. It only needs to remain standing. For another hour, then another, then another. That is how the defense continues. 1 hour at a time. Imagine the sound around you. The battle has become quiet for a short while. Instead of cannons, you hear hammers. Stone touches stone. What is being moved? People call to one another. Footsteps cross the ground. Carts carry supplies. Horses move through the streets. Somewhere nearby, a church bell can be heard. The city is trying to repair itself. But everyone knows that the repairs are temporary. The Ottoman guns will fire again. The walls will be struck again. Still, people continue working. This is one of the quiet truths of a siege. People continue ordinary tasks, even when the future is uncertain. They carry water. They move food. They repair buildings. They care for the wounded. They help the soldiers. They pray. They wait. Life continues inside the danger. Near the most threatened part of the walls, Emperor Constantine remains closely involved. He knows that the central section is extremely important. Giovanni Giustiniani and his men are also there. The two men come from different worlds. Constantine is the emperor of the Byzantine Empire. Giustiniani is a Genoese soldier and commander. Yet on this day, their lives are connected. Both know what is at stake. If the Ottomans break through the central section, they could move toward the heart of the city. So the defenders remain ready. They watch the fields. They watch the Ottoman positions. They watch the great guns. They watch for movement. Every distant group of soldiers may mean another attack. Every messenger may bring important news. Every sound may signal that the quiet moment is ending. Outside the walls, the Ottoman army is also changing position. The morning attacks have given the Ottoman commanders useful information. They have seen how the defenders respond. They have seen where the defenders move their men. They have seen where the walls are strongest. They have also seen where the defenders are becoming tired. The Ottoman army is much larger. That gives Sultan Mehmed an advantage that the defenders cannot match. If one group becomes tired, another can take its place. If one unit suffers losses, another can continue. The defenders do not have that luxury. Their numbers are limited. Every man matters. Every wounded man matters. Every death matters. And every hour makes this difference more important. Among the Ottoman troops are the Janissaries. They are not being thrown into the first attacks. They are being kept ready. They are disciplined soldiers. They are trained for difficult fighting. They are waiting for the moment when the defense begins to weaken. Imagine them waiting outside the city. The sun is moving across the sky. The men are preparing. Their commanders are watching. They know their moment has not yet come. Waiting is part of the plan. The first troops attack. The defenders respond. The defenders become tired. The walls become weaker. Then the strongest troops move forward. Sultan Mehmed is patient. He does not need to rush. The city is trapped. Time is working for him. For the defenders, time is working against them. The afternoon begins slowly. The shadows of the towers become longer. The sunlight changes. The air is warm. Inside Constantinople, people can feel that the day is moving forward. Morning is gone. Afternoon has begun. The defenders have already been fighting for hours. Some are thirsty. Some are wounded. Some have not eaten enough. Yet the walls still stand. For a moment, that fact gives them hope. Perhaps they can hold. Perhaps the Ottoman army will become tired. Perhaps help might still come. Perhaps another night will arrive. But there is no large relief army approaching. No great army is coming across the land. No large fleet is appearing on the horizon. The defenders are mostly alone. Their hope rests on the walls and on themselves. Let us leave the battlefield for a moment. Imagine walking slowly through the streets of Constantinople. You pass a stone house, then a small courtyard, then a church. The streets do not have the normal activity of a peaceful day. Many shops are closed. Many people are staying indoors. Some buildings have been damaged. Some streets are almost empty. Others are filled with people carrying supplies. You may see women carrying water. You may see a man carrying cloth. You may see a priest walking toward a church. You may see soldiers moving quickly toward the walls. You may see children being kept close to their families. No one knows exactly when the fighting might reach their street. But everyone knows that it may. The city feels smaller now. The walls are no longer simply far away. The war is everywhere. From some parts of the city, the sea can still be seen. The Bosporus shines under the afternoon sun. Ships move across the water. The wind comes from the sea. For centuries, the sea had been one of Constantinople's greatest protections. It connected the city to the wider world. It brought merchants. It brought food. It brought travelers. It carried ships from distant places. But now the city is surrounded. The water remains beautiful, yet it cannot save the city. The waves continue to move. The wind continues to blow. The sun continues to cross the sky. The natural world continues as it always has. Only human life has become uncertain. Then the Ottoman forces begin moving again. The defenders see them. Men gather near the walls. Another attack is coming. The quiet disappears. The attackers move toward the damaged sections. The defenders respond. The sound of weapons grows. The walls shake under the pressure. The attackers attempt to move forward. The defenders push them back. The fighting shifts from one section to another. The defenders are forced to remain alert. There is no comfortable position. There is no easy rest. A man who steps away from his position may leave a gap. So the defenders stay. They hold. They fight. They repair. They wait. The walls are protected by more than stone. Outside them is the great defensive ditch. For centuries, this ditch had made it difficult for attackers to approach the walls. But during the siege, the Ottomans had worked to cross it. They had moved earth and materials. They had changed the ground around the defenses. The ditch was no longer the same barrier it had once been. This is how a long siege slowly changes a fortress. A wall may still stand, but the land around it changes. A ditch may be filled. A gate may be damaged. A tower may be weakened. A road may be opened. Little by little, the defenses lose their strength. Inside Constantinople, people can hear the battle. Some climb to places where they can see the walls. Others remain inside their homes. Many have nowhere else to go. The city is surrounded. The land is dangerous. The sea is dangerous. The gates are controlled. So the people wait. Imagine a family gathered together in a small room. Perhaps they speak quietly. Perhaps they pray. Perhaps they remember earlier days. They may remember market days, religious festivals, family meals, weddings, births, ordinary mornings, simple memories. These things can become precious when the future feels uncertain. The city is not only stone. It is memory. It is home. It is the place where people have lived their entire lives. And now that home is surrounded by an army, Constantine continues to move among the defenders. He has very little time left, but he still has responsibilities. Orders must be given. Messages must be received. Soldiers must be encouraged. Defensive positions must be watched. The emperor cannot simply sit and wait. He has to remain active. And yet he must understand the seriousness of the situation. The city has survived for centuries. His family has ruled it for generations. Now he is standing near the end. Imagine what that might feel like. Not as a grand historical idea, but as a human feeling. A ruler looking at the walls, looking at his soldiers, looking at his city, knowing that the enemy is stronger, knowing that the day is moving forward, and still choosing to remain. Justinian and his men continue their defense. Their experience matters. Their presence gives confidence to others. The defenders look toward their commanders. If their leaders remain, the soldiers have another reason to remain. A wall is not only made of stone. It is made of people. If the people leave, the wall becomes useless. If the people remain, even a damaged wall can continue to protect a city. So the defenders remain. They watch. They fight. They repair. They carry their wounded. They return to their positions. The afternoon battle slows again. There is a strange rhythm to the day. Attack. Pause. Repair. Attack. Pause. Repair. The city breathes between each wave. Imagine the sound becoming softer. A soldier sits down. Someone gives him water. A worker carries a stone. A priest walks past. A wounded man is carried away. A horse moves through the street. Then someone looks toward the wall. The Ottoman army is still there. The pause will not last. Outside the city, Sultan Mehmed understands that the important moment is approaching. The defenders have been fighting for hours. The walls are damaged. The central area remains under pressure. The Ottoman army has not yet used all of its strength. The strongest troops are still available. The Sultan waits. He does not need to rush. The city is trapped. Time is working for him. The defenders are becoming tired. Every hour makes their situation more difficult. Every hour gives the Ottoman commanders more information. Every hour brings the final attack closer. The afternoon light begins to soften. The walls look different now. The stone is covered in dust. The towers cast longer shadows. Smoke drifts slowly through the air. The city behind the walls begins to prepare for another night. But perhaps there will be no ordinary night. The defenders cannot know exactly what will happen. Still, the feeling must be there. The day has already lasted many hours. The Ottoman army remains outside. The strongest Ottoman soldiers, have not yet made their final move. Inside the churches, prayers continue. Some people have remained there for hours. Candles burn slowly. Wax gathers near their bases. The air inside is different from the air outside. Outside there is dust, smoke, heat, movement. Inside there is candlelight, quiet voices, prayer. For a short time, people can close their eyes. They can listen to familiar words. They can stand beside their families. They can remember that they are not alone. Then a distant sound reaches the church. A cannon, a shout, a bell, and everyone remembers. The city is still under siege. At the walls, the defenders work again. Another section has been damaged. They fill it. Another stone has fallen. They replace it. Another wooden barrier has broken. They repair it. The people doing this work may never become famous. Their names may disappear from history. But without them, the walls would have been weaker. History often remembers emperors and commanders. But cities survive because of hundreds of ordinary hands. Hands that carry stone. Hands that lift wood. Hands that pour water. Hands that bandage wounds. Hands that cook food. Hands that hold weapons. On this day, all of those hands are part of the defense. The city grows tired. The defenders have been awake for too long. Some have fought since morning. Some have been fighting for weeks. Their bodies are tired. Their minds are tired. Their supplies are limited. Their numbers are limited. The Ottoman army is still strong. This is what Maimed has been waiting for. The moment when the defenders are no longer fresh. The moment when the walls are weakened. The moment when a final attack might succeed. The final stage is getting closer. Look again toward the Golden Horn. The water catches the evening light. The ships remain nearby. The harbor is calm compared with the battlefield. Imagine standing beside the water. You can hear the gentle movement of the waves. You can smell the sea. You can hear sailors speaking quietly. Behind you, the city is preparing for another attack. Ahead of you, the water stretches toward the horizon. For a moment, it feels peaceful. But the peace is temporary. The entire city is waiting for the next sound. The sun begins to fall. The sky slowly changes. Long shadows stretch across the ground. The walls become darker. The Ottoman army continues to prepare. The defenders remain at their positions. The central wall becomes even more important. Giustinian and his men are there. Constantine is nearby. The defenders look toward the Ottoman lines. The air feels different now. There is a pause. A deep breath before the next movement. The battle has not ended. It is moving toward its most important stage. The walls have held for hours. But can they hold through the evening? Can they survive the final attack? The answers are still hidden. For a few moments, imagine the old city beneath the evening sky. The stone walls, the towers, the narrow streets, the churches, the harbor, the sea, the smoke, the tired soldiers, the candles, the waiting people. Everything is still there. But the city is standing at the edge of a great change. The Ottoman army is gathering its strength. The defenders are gathering what little strength remains. Soon the strongest Ottoman troops will move. Soon the final attack will begin. But for a few moments there is still time. The sun is falling. The sky is becoming darker. And the people inside Constantinople are still holding the walls. They have made it through the morning. They have made it through the afternoon. They have survived wave after wave. But the night is not yet here. The final struggle is still ahead. So breathe slowly. Let the sound of the battlefield become distant for a moment. Imagine the old walls glowing softly in the last light. Imagine the sea moving gently beside them. Imagine the city behind you. Imagine the soldiers standing quietly at their posts. They do not know how much time remains. They only know that they must continue. The Ottoman army is ready. The city is ready. The final attack is approaching. And as the last light of the day begins to fade, Constantinople waits. The longest day in the history of the city is not yet over. The walls are still standing. The people are still inside. The defenders are still watching. And somewhere beyond the fading light, the final Ottoman troops are preparing to move. For now, the city remains still. The evening settles slowly over the ancient walls. The sea continues its quiet movement. The candles begin to appear once again in the streets. And the people wait for whatever the next hour will bring. The evening has arrived over Constantinople. The light is fading. The old walls stand beneath a changing sky. For hours, the defenders have been fighting. For hours, the Ottoman army has been waiting. Now the city is entering another quiet moment. But this quiet is different. It is the quiet before the final effort. Inside Constantinople, people can feel that something is changing. The streets are darker now. Small lamps begin to glow beside doorways. Candles burn inside churches. Families gather together. Soldiers return to their positions. The wounded are carried away from the walls. Those who can still fight prepare themselves. There is little conversation. There is little energy left for unnecessary words. Everyone understands that the Ottoman army has not given up. Everyone understands that the strongest part of the attack may still be ahead. So imagine yourself standing on the wall as evening settles over the city. The stone beneath your feet is cool again. The heat of the afternoon has disappeared. The air from the sea is softer. Above you, the sky is slowly becoming dark. Below you, Constantinople is beginning to glow with small points of light. And beyond the walls, the Ottoman camp is also changing. Fires burn across the darkness. Thousands of men are moving. Orders are being given. Weapons are being prepared. The city is waiting. The army is waiting. And time continues to move. The defenders have been told to remain alert. They know that the next attack may be the most important one. The Ottoman army has already used waves of troops. But now the strongest soldiers are preparing. Among them are the janissaries. They have waited through much of the day. Now their moment is getting closer. The janissaries are among the most disciplined troops in the Ottoman army. They are trained to follow orders. They are organized. They are prepared. And they know that the city ahead of them is close to exhaustion. The defenders have been fighting since morning. They have repaired walls. They have carried wounded men. They have fought off attacks. They have watched the great guns strike the stone. Their bodies are tired. Their minds are tired. But they remain at their posts. This is the difference between the two sides now. The Ottoman army still has men to bring forward. The defenders have very few men left to replace those who fall. The city is becoming smaller in its ability to resist. But the walls still stand. And that fact matters. Imagine the central section of the walls. The damaged area. The place where the Ottoman guns have worked for weeks. The defenders have filled the broken places. They have built temporary barriers. They have strengthened the weak points. Justinian and his men remain there. Constantine is nearby. They know that this area is extremely important. If the Ottoman soldiers enter here, the city will be in immediate danger. So the defenders wait. The evening grows darker. The first stars may begin to appear. The sea is becoming difficult to see. The Ottoman camp becomes a collection of fires in the distance. The city behind you becomes a collection of lamps. For a moment, the view is almost beautiful. Then you remember why the lights are there. The city is preparing for war. Inside the churches, the people continue to pray. Some have been praying for hours. The churches are crowded. People stand close together. Candles burn in front of familiar images. The air is warm. The sound of quiet prayer fills the rooms. Some people are frightened. Others are calm. Some may simply be exhausted. But they have come together. For a short time, the church gives them a place where the battle feels far away. Outside, the walls are still under watch. Inside, people pray. And above the city, the evening continues. The Emperor Constantine is also aware that the final hours are approaching. He has spent the day moving between positions. He has spoken to soldiers. He has listened to reports. He has watched the walls. Now he prepares for what may come. The emperor knows that there will probably be no escape for him. If the city falls, he will have nowhere to rule. There is no large empire behind Constantinople waiting to receive him. There is only the city, the walls, the people, and the army outside. He has chosen to remain. So imagine him standing near the walls. Perhaps he looks across the darkening fields. Perhaps he speaks with his commanders. Perhaps he listens quietly. There is no need for grand words. The situation is clear. The enemy is ready. The defenders are tired. The night is coming. The next attack may decide everything. Outside the city, Sultan Mehmed is also preparing. He has spent weeks directing the siege. He has watched the walls. He has watched the defenders. He has watched his own soldiers. Now he knows the city is close to its limit. The final attack will not be random. Different groups will move at different times. The first troops will continue to create pressure. Then stronger forces will follow. Finally, the Janissaries will move. The plan is to keep the defenders fighting, to keep them tired, to keep them from knowing exactly where the final breakthrough will come. The Ottoman army has many men. The city has very few defenders. The plan depends on that difference. The night becomes darker. The fires outside the walls become brighter. Inside the city, more candles appear. The contrast is striking. Beyond the walls, thousands of Ottoman soldiers wait beside their fires. Inside, ordinary families sit beside small lamps. Both sides are awake. Both sides are waiting. Imagine walking slowly through a street in Constantinople. You hear footsteps. A door closes. Someone whispers. A child asks a question. An older person answers quietly. A soldier passes. Then the street becomes silent again. The city still feels like a city. People are still people. But the war is only a short distance away. There is no ordinary night anymore. Every sound matters. Every movement matters. Every hour matters. The Ottoman army begins to move closer. The defenders see shadows. They hear distant commands. The first signs of the new attack begin. The soldiers on the walls prepare. Weapons are checked. Arrows are prepared. Firearms are readied. Stones and other materials are moved into position. Water is brought. Wounded men are moved away. Everything is arranged as quickly as possible. The defenders do not have endless time. The attack is approaching. The first Ottoman troops begin to advance. The darkness makes them difficult to see. The defenders watch the movement. Then the first sounds reach the walls. A shout. Then another. Footsteps. Metal. Wood. The attack is beginning again. The defenders respond. The walls become active. Men move. Weapons are used. The attackers come closer. The defenders try to stop them. The night is no longer quiet. But the fighting is still not at its final strength. The Ottoman army is testing the defenders again. The first troops move forward. The defenders push them back. Some attackers reach the outer defenses. Others retreat. The walls continue to stand. But the defenders are now more tired. They have been fighting all day. The night attack will not give them much time to recover. The Ottoman commanders understand this. The attack continues. The defenders hold. Another group comes forward. The defenders respond again. The battle moves slowly. There is no single moment when everything changes. Instead, pressure builds. Again, and again, and again. The city becomes tired. The soldiers become tired. The walls become tired, if a wall can be said to become tired. Stone does not feel exhaustion, but stone can break. And the walls have already been damaged. The defenders repair them as quickly as possible. A broken place is filled. Another damaged place is strengthened. The workers move under darkness. The defenders protect them. The Ottoman army continues to pressure them. This is the rhythm of the final night. Attack. Repair. Attack. Repair. Wait. Attack again. Inside the city, the people hear the fighting. The sounds travel through the streets. Some people remain in churches. Some stay with their families. Some try to sleep. But sleep must be difficult. The walls are under attack. The ground shakes from the guns. The voices of soldiers can be heard. The future is uncertain. Imagine lying in a small room inside Constantinople. You hear the distant sound of battle. The walls around you are thick. The roof is above you. Your family is nearby. You may not know exactly what is happening. You may not know where the enemy is. You may not know how long the walls will hold. So you simply wait. Perhaps you close your eyes. Perhaps you pray. Perhaps you hold someone's hand. The night moves forward. Outside, the Ottoman army continues its work. The defenders continue theirs. At some point, the fighting slows again. The attackers pull back. The defenders remain at the wall. There is a brief pause. A soldier drinks water. Another sits down. A third looks toward the city. Someone carries away a wounded man. Someone brings more supplies. The pause is short. But for the defenders, every quiet moment is valuable. They need to breathe. They need to rest. They need to prepare. The Ottoman army is preparing too. The strongest troops are still waiting. The Janissaries have not yet made their main attack. This thought must have been frightening to the defenders. They have already fought for so long. And yet the Ottoman army still has fresh troops. The city does not. The difference becomes clearer with every passing hour. The night becomes deeper. The sky is dark. The stars are above the city. The fires outside continue to burn. The lamps inside continue to glow. The Bosporus is dark now. The Golden Horn is dark. Only the occasional reflection of fire or candlelight touches the water. For a moment, Imagine the city from above. A dark mass of buildings, small points of light, the walls running along the land, the sea beside them, and beyond the walls, a huge army. This is Constantinople in the final hours. A city surrounded, a city waiting, a city that has already survived more than anyone expected. But the hardest part is still coming. The Ottoman commanders now prepare the next stage. The Janissaries begin to move. Slowly, quietly, the soldiers gather. The orders are passed. The final attack is getting closer. Inside the city, the defenders can see movement beyond the walls. They know something is happening. They cannot see everything, but they understand. The strongest Ottoman troops are coming. The defenders prepare themselves. Some check their weapons. Some look toward their commanders. Some pray. Some simply stand quietly. The city has reached the moment it has been waiting for since the siege began. The final attack is about to begin. And yet even now, there are small ordinary moments. A soldier ties a piece of cloth around his hand. Another drinks water. Someone adjusts his helmet. Someone looks toward the dark sky. A priest whispers a prayer. A family sits together. A candle burns lower. These tiny moments are happening while history moves around them. And perhaps that is what makes the final hours feel so human. Great events are made from ordinary moments. A hand tightening around a weapon. A candle being lit. A door being closed. A person looking at the sky. A final conversation. A quiet prayer. The night continues. The Ottoman army gathers. The defenders wait. The walls stand. For a short time, everything seems suspended. Then another sound comes from outside. A deeper movement. More men. More footsteps. The Ottoman army is preparing to make its strongest effort. The Janissaries are ready. Sultan Mehmed is ready. Constantine is ready. Justinian is ready. And the defenders are ready as well. No one knows exactly how the next moments will unfold. But everyone understands that the city is approaching its final test. The walls have protected Constantinople for centuries. They have survived emperors, wars, sieges, earthquakes, time. Now they face their greatest challenge. The night is almost at its deepest. The final attack is near. For now, let us remain with the city. Do not rush ahead. Imagine the quiet streets, the small lamps, the old churches, the dark sea, the cold stone walls, the tired soldiers, the distant fires of the Ottoman camp. Everything is waiting. And somewhere outside the city, the Ottoman soldiers are moving into position. The next stage will be different. The pressure will become greater. The defenders will be forced to give everything they have. And the ancient walls will finally be tested to their limit. So take a slow breath. Let the noise become distant. Imagine Constantinople beneath the night sky. The city is still there. The walls are still standing. The people are still waiting. And the final Ottoman assault is only moments away. The night continues to move forward, hour by hour, slowly, quietly, toward dawn, toward the final struggle, toward the end of the Byzantine Empire. The night has grown deep over Constantinople. The city is surrounded by darkness. Only small lights remain visible inside the walls. Candles burn in churches. Lamps glow beside doorways. Small fires burn in the streets. And beyond the walls, the Ottoman camp stretches across the land. Thousands of soldiers are awake, The final attack is beginning. Inside Constantinople, the defenders know that something has changed. The Ottoman army is no longer simply waiting. Men are moving toward the walls. The strongest troops are preparing. The sound of footsteps grows louder. Commands travel through the darkness. The defenders take their positions. For many hours they have fought. Now they must fight again. Imagine yourself standing near the walls. The night air is cool. The stone is cold beneath your hands. You look into the darkness. At first you see almost nothing. Then small movements appear. A group of soldiers. Then another. Then many more. The Ottoman army is coming closer. The defenders raise their weapons. No one needs to explain what is happening. The final assault has begun. The first Ottoman troops move toward the damaged sections. They do not all come at once. The attack comes in stages. The defenders respond. The walls become alive with movement. Men climb. Men push forward. The defenders try to stop them. The sound of weapons rises into the night. But the defenders have already spent an entire day fighting. Their bodies are heavy. Their hands are tired. Their eyes are tired. Still they continue. The first attackers reach the outer defenses. Some are pushed back. Others continue. The defenders fight from the walls. They use every weapon they have. They use bows. They use firearms. They throw stones. They use whatever can help them keep the attackers away. The Ottoman soldiers continue to move forward. The night becomes noisy. Then suddenly the noise drops. The first wave has been pushed back. For a brief moment, the defenders can breathe. A soldier leans against the wall. Another drinks water. Someone looks down at the ground. A wounded man is carried away. The defenders know the pause will be short. The Ottoman army has more men. Another wave will come. And it does. The second group moves forward. The defenders prepare again. The walls shake with the sounds of fighting. The darkness makes everything harder to understand. The defenders cannot always see how many men are coming. They can only respond to what appears before them. The Ottoman soldiers climb toward the walls. The defenders push them away. Some attackers fall. Others move forward. The battle becomes a slow struggle around stone. No single movement decides it. No single person controls it. It is simply pressure. The Ottoman army keeps applying pressure. The defenders keep resisting. The city keeps waiting. And the night keeps moving. Hours have passed since the beginning of the siege. Days have passed. Weeks have passed. Now everything is concentrated into these final hours. The great walls that once seemed almost impossible to break have been damaged. The Ottoman cannons have done their work. The defenders have repaired what they could. But repairs cannot continue forever. There are not enough men. There are not enough materials. There is not enough rest. The Ottoman army continues to push. The Janissaries remain ready. They are waiting for the moment when the defense becomes weak enough. Outside the city, the Ottoman commanders watch the battle. They see where the defenders are strongest. They see where the walls are damaged. They see where the defenders are becoming tired. The final attack is not simply a single rush. It is a long process. Pressure, waiting, movement, pressure again. Inside the city, the defenders understand that the enemy is trying to exhaust them. So they remain alert. They cannot afford to relax. Every section of the wall matters. Every tower matters. Every gate matters. The central section is especially important. This is where much of the fighting is concentrated. Constantine remains nearby. Justinian remains with his men. The defenders look toward them. Their leaders are still there. That matters. When a soldier sees his commander standing beside him, he may feel that the defense is still possible. So they continue. The battle moves through the night. The sounds rise and fall. Sometimes there is shouting. Sometimes the only sound is the distant movement of men. Sometimes a cannon fires. Sometimes there is silence. This rhythm continues. And while the soldiers fight, the city behind them remains mostly dark. Imagine walking through one of the streets. There are no crowds. Most people are inside. Some are praying. Some are waiting. Some are holding their children. Some are sitting beside relatives. Some may have fallen asleep from exhaustion. Perhaps a mother quietly tells her child to remain close. Perhaps an old man sits beside a candle. Perhaps someone whispers a prayer. These people are not soldiers. They have no control over the army outside. They can only wait. And waiting is its own kind of fear. The night continues. The Ottoman army sends more troops. The defenders push them back. But each attack costs the defenders strength. Each wounded soldier matters. Each fallen defender leaves a position harder to fill. The Ottoman army can replace men. The city cannot. This is the heart of the battle. Not simply weapons. Not simply walls. But numbers, time, and exhaustion. The defenders are slowly being worn down. Still they continue. A section of the wall is damaged. Men rush toward it. They carry stones. They bring earth. They strengthen the barrier. Another attack comes. The defenders fight again. The work never seems to end. The night feels endless. But eventually, the sky will begin to change. Morning will come. The defenders know that. The Ottoman commanders know that. But no one knows what the city will look like when the sun rises. The Janissaries are still waiting. The strongest troops have not yet given everything. This means the defenders must continue to resist, while knowing that another major attack is still possible. Imagine standing on the wall. You look toward the Ottoman camp. The fires are scattered across the darkness. Thousands of people are moving somewhere beyond your sight. You look back toward the city. The streets are dark. The churches are quiet. The homes are silent. And you understand that the entire city is depending on the wall beneath your feet. You may be tired. You may be frightened. You may want to rest. But you remain. Because if you leave, someone else must take your place. And there may be no one. The night deepens. Another Ottoman wave comes forward. The defenders respond. The fighting becomes heavier. The sound of weapons fills the air. The great guns continue to speak. The walls shake. Dust falls. Stone breaks. The defenders repair. The cycle continues. The Ottoman army is getting closer to the moment it has been waiting for. The defenders are getting closer to their limit. The final attack is becoming more organized. The Janissaries begin to move forward. Their time has come. The defenders see the movement. They know these are not ordinary troops. They understand what it means. The strongest Ottoman soldiers are now entering the battle. The defenders prepare themselves. Constantine is still there. Justinian is still there. Their men are still there. For a short moment, the entire battle seems to hold its breath. Then the Janissaries advance. They move toward the walls. The defenders answer. The fighting becomes intense. The Janissaries try to reach the damaged sections. The defenders push them back. Again and again. The walls continue to stand. The defenders still have strength, but now they are fighting the best troops of the Ottoman army. The night is slowly moving toward dawn. This is important because the defenders have survived another period of darkness. But they are not rested. They are more exhausted than before. Their weapons are damaged. Their supplies are lower. Their numbers are smaller. The Ottoman army remains enormous. The balance is changing. Slowly, quietly, but clearly. Inside Constantinople, the churches continue to hold people. The prayers continue. Some people believe that the city will be saved. Some may believe that the walls will hold. Some may understand that the end is near. Different people respond in different ways. There is no single feeling inside the city. Some are hopeful. Some are afraid. Some are calm. Some are simply tired. Some are praying. Some are silent. History is not experienced in one emotion. It is experienced by thousands of different people at the same time. The night continues. The defenders fight. The Ottoman army pushes forward. The walls remain standing, but the pressure is becoming stronger. At one point, a small group of Ottoman soldiers manages to reach a damaged area. The defenders push them back. The wall holds. Then another attempt. Again, the defenders resist. The Ottoman commanders continue. The city continues to resist. The struggle moves from one moment to another. No one knows exactly when the final break will come. The only certainty is that the city cannot hold forever. The walls have stood for centuries, but they are stone, and stone can break. The final attack continues. The Janissaries are now fully involved. Their discipline and numbers put enormous pressure on the defenders. Yet the defenders are still fighting. They are still holding. They are still refusing to leave. Imagine the sound now. The distant sea. The movement of thousands of feet. The clash of weapons. The voices of soldiers. The sound of cannons. The cries of men giving orders. The sound of stone breaking. Then suddenly, a quiet moment. A soldier looks upward. The sky is still dark, but perhaps there is a faint change in the east. Morning is coming. The final hours of darkness are passing. The defenders have survived the night, but they have not survived the siege. The city is approaching the most important moment of all. The Ottoman army is preparing for one last effort. The defenders have very little strength left. The walls are damaged. The soldiers are exhausted. The Janissaries are ready. And the first light of morning is not far away. Imagine the city just before dawn. The streets are dark. The lamps are low. The churches are filled with tired people. The walls are covered with dust. The soldiers are standing quietly. The sea is almost invisible. The Ottoman fires glow in the distance. For a moment, everything is still. The city seems to be holding its breath. Then the first faint light begins to appear. The darkness slowly becomes gray. The night is ending, and the final morning of Constantinople is beginning. The defenders look toward the sky. They look toward the Ottoman army. They know that the next hours may decide everything. The city has survived for centuries. The walls have survived countless attacks. But this morning will be different. The Ottoman army is ready. The strongest troops are ready. The defenders are exhausted. And the sun is about to rise. So let us pause here. Let the battlefield become quiet for a moment. Imagine the old walls beneath the fatting darkness. Imagine the tired soldiers standing along them. Imagine the small lamps inside the city. Imagine the sea beside the walls. And imagine the first pale light appearing in the east. The night is almost gone. The final morning is here. And with the sunrise, the last struggle for Constantinople will begin. The city is still standing. The walls are still standing. The people are still inside. But the next hours will change everything. Slowly, hour by hour, until the old empire finally reaches its end. The first light is coming. The darkness above Constantinople is slowly becoming gray. The stars are fading. The lamps inside the city are still burning. But now the eastern sky is beginning to brighten. It is May 29, 1453. The final morning has arrived. Along the walls, the defenders are exhausted. Some have been awake through the entire night. Some have fought for hours without proper rest. Some are wounded. Some are barely able to stand. Yet they remain. The Ottoman army is still outside. The Janissaries are ready. The great guns are ready. The city is surrounded. There is no easy way out. Imagine yourself standing on the wall. The morning air is cool. The stone beneath your feet is rough. You look toward the east. The sky slowly changes. Then you turn toward the Ottoman camp. You can now see more clearly. Thousands of soldiers, tents, horses, weapons, smoke, movement. The enormous army is waking with the sunrise. The defenders know what this means. The final attack is coming. The Ottoman army begins to move. The first groups advance. The defenders prepare. There is no confusion about the purpose. The final assault has begun. The attackers move toward the damaged walls. The defenders respond. The first sounds of battle fill the morning. Weapons, footsteps, voices, cannons. The sound moves across the fields. Inside Constantinople, people wake to the noise. Some are already awake. Some have spent the night praying. Some have been waiting quietly with their families. Now everyone knows that the final battle is underway. The city begins another day of war. But this is not like the day before. There will be no tomorrow for the Byzantine Empire in the form that its people know. The Ottoman army has prepared carefully. The defenders have almost nothing left to give. The battle begins again. The first Ottoman troops move forward. The defenders hold. The walls still give them an advantage. The attackers must cross open ground. They must approach the damaged sections. They must climb. They must face defenders above them. The first attacks are pushed back. The defenders breathe. For a short moment they have succeeded. But another group is already moving. The Ottoman army has many soldiers. The defenders do not. The pressure continues. The Ottoman commanders know that the defenders are exhausted. They do not need every attack to succeed. They only need the defenders to become weaker. They only need one section of the wall to fail. They only need one opening, one gap, one moment. The battle continues. The walls shake. Stone falls. The defenders repair. The Ottoman soldiers climb. The defenders push them back. The sun rises higher. Morning becomes brighter. The city becomes clearer. The damaged walls can be seen more easily. The streets inside the city are filled with people. Some carry supplies. Some carry wounded men. Some move toward churches. Some remain at home. The battle is no longer something distant. It is everywhere. The people of Constantinople have reached the final morning of their world. Imagine a family inside one of the houses. They may hear the battle outside. They may hear the deep sound of cannon fire. They may hear people running. They may hear bells. They may hear shouting. But inside their home, they are still together. Perhaps they speak quietly. Perhaps they pray. Perhaps they simply sit. The future is uncertain. Yet the home is still a home. The table is still there. The walls are still there. The people are still together. This is what makes the final day so human. The fall of a city is not only about armies. It is about homes, families, memories, streets, places that people know by heart. The Ottoman army continues its attack. The defenders continue their defense. The central section remains critical. Constantine is still near the fighting. Justinian is still leading his men. Their soldiers continue to resist. The first morning attacks do not immediately break the city. The defenders still have strength. The walls still stand. For a moment, it may seem that Constantinople might survive another day. But the Ottoman army continues to increase the pressure. The strongest troops are moving. The janissaries are approaching the walls. The defenders see them. They know what this means. The janissaries are among the most experienced troops in the Ottoman army. They have been waiting. Now they are being used. The battle becomes harder. The attackers move toward the weakest areas. The defenders fight back. The walls are crowded with men. There is little room. Every defender has a position. Every position matters. If one group moves away, another section may become exposed. The defenders cannot simply retreat. Behind them is the city. And behind the city are their homes. So they stay. They fight. The morning becomes warmer. The sun climbs higher. The defenders become more tired. The Ottoman soldiers continue. The guns fire. A stone ball strikes the wall. Dust rises. Men rush toward the damaged place. They bring earth. They carry stones. They build again. The wall is repaired. Then another shot comes. The process begins again. The defenders are trapped in a cycle. Attack. Repair. Attack. Repair. They cannot rest. The Ottoman army does not stop. Time continues. And with every passing hour, the city becomes weaker. Inside Constantinople, the churches remain crowded. People pray. Some light candles. Some kneel. Some stand quietly. The prayers are familiar. The buildings are familiar. The city is familiar. But the world outside is changing. The people may not know exactly what will happen, but they can hear it. The battle is moving closer. The sound of weapons reaches deeper into the city. The great guns are impossible to ignore. The ground itself seems to carry their sound. The walls are under enormous pressure. Still, the defenders remain. Constantine continues to move among them. He is not sitting in safety. He is part of the defense. The emperor understands that his city is close to its final moment. He also understands that the defenders are exhausted. Yet he continues to encourage them. He remains near the central section. Justinian is also there. The Genoese soldiers continue to fight. Their experience is extremely important. The defenders look toward them. The battle continues. The Ottoman troops try to climb. They use ladders. They push toward the walls. The defenders knock them back. The struggle repeats. The sun moves higher. The morning becomes late morning. The city has survived another few hours. But the Ottoman army has not weakened enough. The defenders have. This is the problem. The defenders can win individual moments. They can push back individual attacks. They can hold individual sections. But they cannot replace their losses. The Ottoman army can. The numbers are slowly becoming decisive. The final outcome is getting closer. Yet history does not move quickly. Even when the final result seems possible, the people living through it still experience every minute. A minute can feel long. An hour can feel endless. A soldier may think only about the next few moments. A family may think only about the next sound. A commander may think only about the next position. Nobody is thinking about centuries. Nobody is thinking about history books. They are living in the present. The present is the wall. The present is the weapon. The present is the person standing beside you. The present is the city behind you. And the present is the army ahead. The battle continues. The Ottoman soldiers make another push. The defenders resist. Again and again. The walls still stand. But now something important begins to happen. The defenders are being forced to use almost every available man. There are fewer reserves. There are fewer fresh soldiers. The city is running out of options. The Ottoman commanders can continue sending men. The defenders cannot. The pressure grows. The morning light becomes stronger. Smoke rises above the walls. The city looks different now. A place that once felt permanent is beginning to look fragile. The ancient walls are damaged. The towers are marked. The ground is covered with debris. The defenders are exhausted. Yet the city remains. The emperor remains. The people remain. The final struggle continues. Imagine stepping away from the fighting for a moment. Look toward the sea. The water is bright beneath the morning sun. Ships remain in the harbor. The city is surrounded by water on several sides. The sea looks peaceful. It is difficult to imagine that one of the greatest cities in the medieval world is fighting for survival. A bird passes above the water. The wind moves gently. The sun shines. And beneath that calm sky, soldiers are fighting along the walls. The natural world continues without concern. The city cannot stop time. The sun keeps moving. The morning keeps passing. The final day moves closer to midday. The defenders are still holding. But the Ottoman army is preparing its strongest effort yet. Sultan Mehmed understands that the moment is close. He has used the night. He has used the early morning. He has used waves of soldiers. Now he prepares to push harder. The Janissaries are ready. The defenders are tired. The walls are damaged. Everything is moving toward one moment. The defenders may still hope. Perhaps the walls will hold. Perhaps the Ottoman attack will fail. Perhaps another opportunity will appear. But hope does not change the condition of the walls. Hope does not create fresh soldiers. Hope does not repair every broken stone. The battle continues. The attackers move forward. The defenders fight. The sound becomes louder, then quieter, then louder again. The rhythm continues. For a short time, the defenders manage to push the Ottoman soldiers back. There is relief. A few men breathe deeply. A commander calls for more water. Another soldier looks toward the city. But there is no time to celebrate. Another group is already approaching. The Ottoman army is patient. The defenders are not allowed to rest. The final assault continues. The walls remain standing, but the city is becoming more fragile. The first half of the final morning is passing. Soon the sun will move toward midday. Soon the battle will enter another stage. The defenders will face even greater pressure. The Ottoman army will concentrate its strength, and the ancient walls will begin to reach their limit. For now, imagine Constantinople beneath the morning sun. The great churches, the narrow streets, the old stone buildings, the harbor, the sea, the walls, the tired soldiers, the waiting families. Everything is still there, but everything is changing. The city has survived for centuries, yet history has brought it to this morning. The Ottoman army is outside. The defenders are inside. The emperor is still with his people, and the final battle continues. So let us slow down. Let the sound of the battlefield become distant for a moment. Imagine the morning air. Imagine the pale sunlight on the old stone. Imagine the smoke rising slowly above the walls. Imagine the sea moving gently beyond the city. And imagine the defenders standing in silence between attacks. They are tired, but they are still there. The walls are damaged, but they are still there. Constantinople is wounded, but it is still there. The next hours will decide how long that remains true. The sun continues to rise. The battle continues, and the final fall of Constantinople is drawing closer. Slowly, hour by hour, moment by moment, until the ancient city reaches the last great turning point of its long history. The morning is moving toward midday. The sun is higher now. Its light falls across the walls of Constantinople. The old stone is bright in some places and dark in others. Smoke rises slowly above the city. The sounds of battle come and go. For a short time, the defenders have managed to hold, but they are becoming weaker. The Ottoman army is still outside. The janissaries are still ready. The great guns are still firing. And Sultan Mehmed is preparing for the most important stage of the assault. Imagine yourself standing inside the city. You have been awake for many hours. Your body feels heavy. Your eyes are tired. You have dust on your clothes. The sound of battle has become familiar. Yet every new attack still makes your heart move a little faster. You look toward the walls. The defenders are still there. You look toward the city. People are still moving through the streets. The churches are still open. The lamps are still burning inside dark buildings. The city is still alive, but the pressure is becoming greater. The Ottoman army begins to concentrate its forces. More men move toward the central sections. The defenders see them. They understand that another major attack is coming. There is no need for long explanations. The soldiers prepare. They check their weapons. They gather ammunition. They move toward the damaged walls. Some wounded men are taken away. Others refuse to leave. They remain with their comrades. The defenders have reached a difficult point. They know the city is in danger, but they also know that they have already stopped several attacks. The walls are still standing. That gives them hope. Perhaps the next attack will fail too. Perhaps the Ottoman army will become tired. Perhaps the city will survive. These thoughts may have passed through the minds of many defenders. But outside the walls, the Ottoman army has another advantage. It can continue. The attack begins again. The Ottoman soldiers move toward the city. The defenders respond. The sound grows. The central section becomes crowded. Men climb. Men push forward. The defenders strike back. The walls shake. Stone falls. Dust fills the air. The defenders try to see through the smoke. They call to one another. They warn each other. They ask for more men, more weapons, more supplies. But there are fewer men available. The city has almost no reserve left. The Ottoman army keeps sending soldiers. The pressure becomes heavier. The great cannons fire again. A massive stone strikes the wall. The impact sends dust into the air. The defenders rush toward the damaged area. They work quickly. They place stones. They push earth into gaps. They strengthen the barrier. The work is difficult. The battle is happening only a short distance away. Yet they continue. They must. If the gap becomes large enough, the Ottoman soldiers can enter. And if they enter, the city will be in immediate danger. So the defenders work. They repair. They fight. They repair again. The city depends on their hands. Inside Constantinople, the people hear the battle. Some are still praying. Some have gathered near churches. Some are hiding inside their homes. Some are carrying supplies. Some are helping the wounded. The city has become a mixture of quiet rooms and noisy streets. A person might hear nothing for a moment. Then suddenly a cannon. A shout. Footsteps. A bell. Then quiet again. This strange rhythm continues. Imagine walking slowly through one of the streets. You pass a closed shop. A wooden door. A stone wall. A small courtyard. A church entrance. People move quickly. No one wants to stay in the open. Some carry baskets. Some carry water. Some carry cloth for wounds. The city is preparing for the possibility that the walls may not hold. But nobody knows exactly when that might happen. The defenders continue. At the central wall, Justinian and his men remain deeply involved. They are experienced. They understand that the Ottoman army is looking for a breakthrough. They watch the attackers carefully. They move their men where they are needed. Constantine is also there. The emperor continues to encourage the defense. He knows that the city cannot afford to lose this section. He knows that the battle is moving toward its final stage. And he knows that his men are exhausted. Yet he remains. The sun continues across the sky. The battle continues below. The Ottoman soldiers attempt another climb. The defenders push them away. The attackers retreat. Then another group approaches. The defenders respond again. It becomes a struggle of patience. The Ottoman army has more patience because it has more men. The defenders have less. Every minute costs them something. Every attack removes another soldier. Every wound creates another gap. Every broken weapon creates another problem. Yet they still hold. For a moment, the city appears almost safe. Then the guns fire again. The walls shake. Another section breaks. The defenders rush toward it. More men are needed. More material is needed. More time is needed. But time is exactly what the defenders do not have. The Ottoman army begins another push. The Janissaries move closer. The defenders see them. There is a change in the atmosphere. These are not simply more soldiers. They are the troops maimed, has kept ready for the final effort. The defenders understand. The strongest part of the Ottoman army is now coming. The battle grows harder. The attackers move forward. The defenders fight. The walls become crowded. The air becomes filled with dust. The sound of weapons becomes constant. And still the city remains. For a moment. For another moment. For another, the defenders continue to hold. The Ottoman commanders keep watching. Mehmed waits. He knows that the defenders are nearly exhausted. He does not need to break them all at once. He needs to find one weakness, one opening, one place where the defenders cannot respond quickly enough. The attack continues. The defenders are pushed toward their limit. Imagine the exhaustion now. A soldier has been standing for hours. His hands hurt. His shoulders hurt. His feet hurt. He is thirsty. He is covered in dust. He may have watched friends fall. Yet he remains. Another soldier beside him may be in the same condition. They look at each other. No words are needed. They continue. This is the human side of the battle. Not only commanders, not only armies, but tired people standing beside one another. The Ottoman army continues its pressure. The defenders continue their resistance. The walls continue to absorb the force. But the walls cannot repair themselves. Every stone that falls must be replaced by a person. Every broken section must be filled. Every opening must be covered. The defenders are running out of people. The city is running out of time. The morning is slowly passing. The sun is moving toward midday. The final battle is becoming more intense. Outside the walls, Ottoman soldiers prepare another assault. Inside, defenders move toward the central section. The janissaries wait for their order. And the emperor remains near the fighting. Constantine has no easy choice. If he retreats, the defenders may lose confidence. If he remains, he is exposed to the same danger as everyone else. He stays. The city remains his responsibility. The walls are his responsibility. The people are his responsibility. So he continues to move among the defenders. He speaks with commanders. He watches the enemy. He tries to understand where the next attack will come. The battle continues. Another Ottoman group moves forward. The defenders respond. The attack is pushed back. But the defenders have used more strength. Another attack comes. Again they respond. Again they survive. But each success is becoming more expensive. The Ottoman army can lose soldiers and continue. The city cannot. This is the slow mathematics of a siege. The defenders can win a moment. The attackers can lose a group. But the attackers have more groups. The defenders have fewer. Eventually, numbers begin to matter more than individual victories. The sun reaches its highest point. Midday is approaching. The city is hot. The stone walls hold the heat. The smoke hangs in the air. The defenders are exhausted. The Ottoman soldiers are also tired. But the Ottoman army still has reserves. The city has very few. The final struggle is becoming unavoidable. Inside the churches, people continue to pray. The sounds of prayer mix with the distant battle. Some people believe the city will be saved. Others are preparing themselves for the possibility that it will not. The city has become a place where hope and resignation exist together. A person can hope for rescue and still understand that rescue may never come. A person can pray for victory and still know that the walls are weakening. A person can love the city and still understand that the city may fall. These feelings can exist at the same time. History is often like that. People do not know the ending while they are living the story. They only know the next moment. And the next moment now belongs to the battlefield. The Ottoman army moves again. The defenders prepare. The janissaries advance. The attack becomes stronger. The defenders push back. The walls shake. Stone falls. Dust rises. The city seems to hold its breath. The Ottoman soldiers continue climbing. The defenders strike them down. Another group takes their place. The pressure never fully disappears. The battle continues. And then, for a brief moment, the defenders succeed again. The attackers are pushed away. The wall remains closed. The city remains safe. For now, the soldiers breathe. Some look toward the sky. Some look toward their commanders. Some simply stand. The pause is short. The Ottoman army is preparing another effort. Mehmed understands that the defenders are almost at their limit. Now he must decide when to push the strongest force forward. The moment is approaching. The Janissaries are ready. The Ottoman commanders are ready. The defenders are tired. The walls are damaged. The city is surrounded. The final decision is coming. Imagine the city at this moment. The sun is high. The sea is bright. The towers stand above the walls. The churches rise inside the city. Smoke drifts through the air. The battlefield surrounds everything. And yet Constantinople is still beautiful. Still old. Still familiar. Still alive. That is what makes the moment so strange. The city is not dead. It is simply exhausted. It has not disappeared. It is still standing. But it is standing on the edge of a great change. The Ottoman army prepares again. The defenders prepare again. Another hour passes. Another attack is coming. The final breakthrough is getting closer. And now the battle is moving toward the moment when the ancient walls will finally be tested beyond their strength. For now, let us pause. Imagine the warm sunlight falling across the old stones. Imagine the sea moving quietly beyond the walls. Imagine the tired defenders standing in the dust. Imagine the Ottoman soldiers gathering outside. The city has survived the morning. But the hardest part of the day is still ahead. The sun has not yet begun to fall. The final attack has not yet reached its most important moment. And the defenders are still standing. They have one more stretch of time to endure. One more series of attacks. One more effort. The Ottoman army is preparing. The city is waiting. And the ancient walls remain between them. Slowly, quietly, hour by hour, the final hours of Constantinople are moving forward. The day has moved beyond midday. The sun is now high above Constantinople. The light falls strongly across the old walls. Smoke hangs over parts of the city. Dust covers the streets. The defenders have been fighting for many hours. Their strength is almost gone. Yet the walls are still standing. For a little longer, the Ottoman army remains outside. The soldiers continue to gather. The Janissaries wait. The great guns continue to fire. And Sultan Mehmed watches carefully. He knows the city is close to its final moment. Inside Constantinople, the defenders are doing everything they can. Some carry stones. Some bring water. Some help the wounded. Some repair damaged walls. Some remain with their weapons. Others pray. There is very little rest. There is very little food. There is very little time. Imagine yourself walking slowly along the inner side of the wall. You can hear the fighting outside. You can hear the heavy sound of cannon fire. You can feel the ground tremble. You see soldiers moving from one position to another. You see men carrying supplies. You see wounded defenders being taken away. The air smells of smoke and dust. The afternoon has only just begun. But the defenders already feel as if they have been fighting for days. They have. The siege has lasted for weeks. And now the final day is taking everything from them. The Ottoman army begins another attack. The defenders prepare. The first soldiers move forward. The defenders answer. For a while, the old pattern continues. Attack. Defense. Retreat. Another attack. The Ottoman soldiers move toward the damaged walls. The defenders push them away. The walls hold, but each attack costs something. Another defender is wounded. Another weapon is damaged. Another section needs repair. Another man must leave his position. The defenders are becoming fewer. The Ottoman army is still large. This difference becomes more important with every passing minute. The defenders can no longer depend on numbers. They can only depend on the strength of the remaining men. And on the walls have protected Constantinople for centuries. They are thick. They are tall. They have towers. They have gates. They have layers of defense. But they have also been hit again and again by Ottoman cannon fire. The great guns have opened gaps. The defenders have filled those gaps. But the repairs are not the same as the original walls. They are temporary. They are made quickly. They are made under pressure. The defenders know this. The Ottoman commanders know this too. The battle moves toward those damaged places. The Ottoman soldiers concentrate their efforts. The defenders move to meet them. Imagine standing near the central section. You can see the broken stones. You can see where repairs have been made. You can see the men protecting the area. Beyond the walls, Ottoman soldiers are gathering. The distance between the two sides is not great. The defenders can see the enemy. The enemy can see them. Both sides know what they are trying to do. The Ottomans want to enter. The defenders want to keep them out. There is nothing complicated about the goal. The battle continues. The defenders push back another attack. For a moment, the wall is quiet. A soldier sits down. Another drinks water. A commander speaks to a group of men. A wounded defender is carried away. Someone brings more arrows. Someone brings stones. Someone brings food. It is a small pause. But the Ottoman army does not stop for long. The next group approaches. The defenders stand again. They are tired, but they stand. The attack begins. The sound rises. The walls shake. The defenders fight. The Ottoman soldiers climb. The defenders force them down. The battle continues. Time passes. The afternoon sun begins to move slowly across the sky. The defenders have been fighting since before sunrise. Some have been awake through the night. Their bodies are exhausted. Their minds are exhausted. But the battle does not care about exhaustion. The Ottoman army continues. The Janissaries are still available. That knowledge must weigh heavily on the defenders. They have already faced so many soldiers. Yet the Ottoman army still has its strongest force. The final attack is not finished. It is still building. Sultan Mehmed waits for the right moment. He watches the walls. He watches the defenders. He knows that the city is close. Very close. But he does not want to waste the final effort. He needs the defenders to become as weak as possible. He needs the walls to become as damaged as possible. He needs the right moment. So the Ottoman army continues to apply pressure. The defenders continue to resist. Another cannon fires. A section of the wall shakes. Dust falls. The defenders rush toward the damaged place. They repair it. Another cannon. More dust. More stones. More work. The defenders are becoming almost completely exhausted. Yet they continue. Imagine a man carrying a heavy stone. He has already carried many. His arms are tired. His back hurts. His clothes are covered in dust. But he carries another stone. He places it in the broken section. Then he returns for another. He does not know whether the wall will still be standing an hour later. He only knows that the wall needs another stone now. This is how the defense continues. Not through grand gestures. Through small acts. One stone. One weapon. One bucket of water. One wounded man carried away. One soldier taking another man's place. One person staying when leaving would be easier. The city survives through these small actions. But the Ottoman army is becoming stronger at the exact moment. The defenders are becoming weaker. The Janissaries begin to move forward again. The defenders see them. The atmosphere changes. The Janissaries advance toward the weakest areas. The defenders prepare. They know this is serious. The battle becomes more intense. The attackers push toward the walls. The defenders fight them back. The Janissaries continue. The defenders resist. The old walls shake. Dust rises. The sound becomes overwhelming. For a moment, nobody can hear anything except the battle. Then the noise falls. The attackers have been pushed back again. The defenders breathe. But the pause is short. The Janissaries are not finished. They return. The attack continues. The defenders fight again. Again. And again. The afternoon slowly passes. The sun begins its journey toward the western sky. The light becomes softer. But the battle does not become softer. The pressure remains. The city remains surrounded. The sea remains calm beyond the walls. Inside the city, people continue to pray. Some churches are filled. Others are nearly empty. Many people have gone to places where they believe they will be safer. Some carry small religious objects. Some hold candles. Some sit quietly. There is no certainty. Only waiting. Imagine a quiet church interior. The noise outside is distant. The light inside is soft. A candle flickers. A person kneels. Another person stands beside a family member. No one knows what will happen. The church feels peaceful. But outside, the battle continues. This contrast is part of the final day. Peace and war exist only a few streets apart. A candle burns quietly while cannons fire nearby. A child sleeps while soldiers fight. A priest prays while the walls shake. Life continues in small ways. Even during the end of an empire, the defenders continue to hold. But their condition is becoming more serious. There are fewer men, fewer weapons, fewer supplies. The Ottoman army has many more. The difference is becoming impossible to ignore. The city has reached a point where every mistake can become dangerous. A gap left unguarded. A wounded commander. A broken barrier. A moment of confusion. Any of these could create an opening. The defenders are trying to prevent that opening. But they are tired. Very tired. The Ottoman army continues its pressure. The battle moves toward the central section. Giustiniani and his men are still there. Their presence remains important. They are among the strongest defenders. Constantine is still nearby. He knows that the city is close to its final moment. He also knows that the men around him are exhausted. Still they continue. The emperor looks toward the walls. He sees the smoke. He sees the damage. He sees the defenders. Perhaps he understands that the end is close. But there is still work to do. The walls must be held. The soldiers must be encouraged. The final defense must continue. The afternoon moves toward evening. The Ottoman army prepares another major push. The defenders gather. The Janissaries move closer. The next attack may be the one that changes everything. The city is now hanging on a very narrow edge. The walls are damaged. The defenders are tired. The attackers are ready. And the Ottoman commanders have learned where the defense is weakest. They are waiting for the right moment. The final attack is becoming more concentrated. The defenders are forced to move men from one place to another. This creates problems. When men leave one section, another section becomes weaker. When they return, another area may be exposed. The city has almost no reserve. Every movement matters. The battle continues. The defenders hold. Then another attack. They hold again. But the cost grows. The sun begins to descend. The light becomes warmer. The shadows of the towers stretch across the ground. The walls look ancient beneath the evening light. For centuries, these stones have stood here. Generations have walked beside them. Children have grown up beneath them. Soldiers have guarded them. Emperors have ruled behind them. Now these same stones are being tested beyond anything they have known before. Imagine touching the wall. The stone is rough. It has been warmed by the sun. It has been struck by cannon fire. It has been repaired. It has been touched by countless hands. It is more than a wall. It is a symbol of the city itself. And now it is beginning to fail. Not everywhere. Not all at once. But in places. Small weaknesses. Broken sections. Damaged towers. Openings. The Ottoman army only needs one. The defenders need to prevent everyone. That is becoming harder. The afternoon continues. The battle does not stop. The defenders fight. The Ottoman soldiers advance. The Janissaries wait for another command. The great guns remain ready. The final push is coming. Inside the city, people begin to understand that the battle is approaching its end. The sounds have become closer. The walls are under constant pressure. The streets are filled with tired people. The churches remain crowded. Some people are preparing themselves spiritually. Others simply wait. The city is quiet in places. Very quiet. And then the sound of battle returns. A cannon. A shout. A bell. Footsteps. The city listens. The defenders return to their positions. The Ottoman army moves forward again. The final stage is approaching. Imagine the sky above Constantinople. The sun is slowly moving toward the horizon. The light is beginning to fade. The city is still standing. But it has survived another hour only by using almost everything it has. The defenders are near their limit. The Ottoman army is not. That difference now matters more than anything. The final attack is coming. And this time, the Ottoman army will use its strongest remaining strength. The defenders will have to answer with whatever remains. There is no more time to save strength for later. There may be no later. So they stand. They prepare. They wait. The final hours are approaching. For now, let us remain with the city. Imagine the walls in the evening light. Imagine the tired defenders. Imagine the Ottoman soldiers outside. Imagine the smoke rising slowly. Imagine the sea beyond the city. Imagine the churches filled with quiet prayer. Everything is still there. But the balance has changed. The Ottoman army is ready for its final effort. The defenders are almost exhausted. The ancient walls are damaged, and the day is slowly moving toward evening. The fall of Constantinople is now very close, but the city has not fallen yet. The walls are still standing. The defenders are still fighting, and the final struggle has not yet reached its last moment. The next hours will bring the final break, the final defense, the final moments of the Byzantine Empire, and the beginning of a new age for the city. Slowly, quietly, hour by hour, the afternoon is slowly becoming evening. The sun is beginning to move lower. Long shadows stretch from the towers. The old walls of Constantinople stand beneath the fading light, but they no longer look as strong as they once did. There are broken stones, damaged sections, temporary repairs, dust everywhere. The defenders are exhausted. Some have been fighting since the previous day. Some have hardly slept. Some have not eaten properly. Many are wounded, yet they are still standing. The Ottoman army is still outside, and now Sultan Mehmed is preparing for the final effort. Imagine yourself near the walls. You can hear the breathing of tired soldiers. You can hear quiet conversations. You can hear the distant movement of the Ottoman army. The air is filled with smoke. The sun feels softer now, but there is no real peace. Everyone knows that another attack is coming. The defenders look toward their commanders. Constantine is still there. Justinian is still there. Their presence gives the soldiers courage. The men understand that they cannot retreat. Behind them is Constantinople. Their homes, their families, their churches, their streets, their memories. There is nowhere else to go. So they remain. The Ottoman army begins to gather. The Janissaries are preparing. Other Ottoman soldiers are moving into position. The great guns are being made ready. The final attack will be different. The earlier attacks were meant to weaken the defenders. Now the Ottoman army wants to break through. The city has reached the point where one opening could change everything. The defenders know this. They move toward the weakest places. They check the damaged walls. They carry more stones. They bring more earth. They prepare their weapons. They help the wounded. There is no wasted movement. Every person has something to do. Every moment matters. The battle begins again. Ottoman soldiers move toward the walls. The defenders respond. The sound of fighting grows. The attackers climb. The defenders push them back. The walls shake. Another attack comes. The defenders resist again. But this time the pressure is greater. The Ottoman soldiers keep coming. They do not stop for long. They move forward in groups. Some fall. Others replace them. The defenders cannot replace their losses so easily. This difference is becoming decisive. Imagine a defender looking down from the wall. He sees Ottoman soldiers approaching. He sees another group behind them, and another, and another. It seems as though the army never ends. He looks back at his own side. There are fewer men. Many are tired. Some are wounded. Some have already fallen. The difference is clear. Yet the defender remains. He raises his weapon. He waits. He fights. The Ottoman soldiers reach the walls. The defenders push them back. For a moment, it seems possible that the city might still hold. But the attackers continue. Another group comes. Then another. The battle becomes a continuous movement. The defenders are forced to fight without rest. The walls are under pressure from several directions. The Ottoman commanders are watching carefully. They want to find the exact moment when the defense becomes weak. The city is becoming fragile. The final moment is near. Inside Constantinople, people are still praying. The churches are crowded. Some people have spent the entire day there. They have listened to the sounds of battle. They have waited. They have prayed. They have tried to believe that the city might survive. But now the sounds are getting closer. The battle can be heard more clearly. The walls are being attacked again and again. The city seems to tremble. Imagine sitting inside a church. The room is dim. Candles burn quietly. The walls are thick. Outside, the world is noisy. Inside, there is silence. People sit close together. Some whisper. Some pray. Some simply look toward the candles. Nobody knows what the next hour will bring. The city has become a place of waiting. Outside, the battle continues. Inside, people wait. And above everything, the evening slowly approaches. At the walls, Constantine continues to move among the defenders. He speaks to soldiers. He watches the fighting. He understands that the city is close to its end. There is no large relief army. There is no sudden rescue. There is only the defense. The emperor has one choice left. Remain. So he remains. Giustiniani and the Genoese defenders continue fighting. Their experience is valuable. They have helped organize the defense. They have fought through the worst moments. But they are also exhausted. No man can fight forever. Their strength is running low. The Ottoman army pushes again. The defenders answer. The wall holds. For a few moments. Then another attack. Again. The afternoon light begins to disappear. The sky becomes softer. The shadows grow longer. The battlefield is covered with dust. The walls appear darker. The city behind them is beginning to glow with lamps. The final evening is arriving. The defenders know that they are approaching the last stage. They have survived the morning. They have survived the afternoon. But the Ottoman army is still there. And the Janissaries are ready. Sultan Mehmed gives orders. The final pressure increases. The Ottoman soldiers move forward. The defenders fight. The wall shakes again. A damaged section becomes more damaged. Men rush to repair it. They carry stones. They carry earth. They use whatever they can find. But the repairs are becoming harder. There are not enough materials. There are not enough workers. There are not enough fresh soldiers. The city is running out of everything. Except determination. The defenders continue. One man helps another. A wounded soldier gives his weapon to someone else. A defender carries ammunition. Another carries water. A commander points toward a weak place. Men move there. The defense becomes a chain of small actions. Each one matters. The Ottoman army keeps pushing. The chain becomes weaker. But it does not break yet. The final attack continues. Imagine the sound of the city now. Cannon fire. Shouting. Footsteps. Bells. Prayers. The cries of wounded men. The movement of thousands of soldiers. And beneath all of it, the quiet sound of the sea. The sea remains calm. The water does not know what is happening on the walls. The ships continue to float. The evening wind moves across the harbor. The city is surrounded by one of the most powerful armies of the age. Yet the water looks peaceful. There is something strange about that. The natural world continues while human history changes. The sun continues to set. Birds continue to fly. The water continues to move. But for the people inside the city, nothing feels ordinary. The final attack becomes stronger. The Ottoman soldiers reach the outer defenses. The defenders fight them back. The Janissaries move closer. The defenders are pushed. They recover. They fight again. The walls still hold. But something is changing. The defenders are no longer simply defending the walls. They are struggling to remain organized. There are too many attacks, too many damaged places, too many wounded men, too little time. The battle becomes harder to control. And then something happens that will have enormous importance. Justinian is wounded. The exact details of his injury have been described differently in later accounts, but what matters is that the Genoese commander is badly hurt during the fighting. His men see him. The situation creates confusion. Justinian had been one of the most important figures in the defense. His presence had given confidence. Now he is wounded. The defenders feel the change. Constantine is there. Others try to keep the defense organized. But the loss of such an important commander at such a late moment is deeply serious. The battle continues. The Ottoman soldiers keep pressing forward. The defenders try to hold their positions. Justinian is eventually taken away from the fighting. His departure creates a difficult moment. Some of his men follow him. Others remain. The defense becomes weaker. The Ottoman army notices the movement. The pressure increases. The final opening may be near. Imagine the defenders looking around. Their commander has been wounded. The walls are damaged. The Ottoman soldiers are still coming. The sun is low. The city behind them is waiting. There is no easy solution. They must continue. Constantine remains. He knows that the situation is becoming extremely dangerous. He calls for the defense to continue. The soldiers respond. They move back toward the walls. They fight again. For a short time, the defenders still manage to hold. The Ottoman soldiers are pushed back. But the pressure does not disappear. The final stage has begun. The city is now very close to falling. The evening sky becomes darker. The lamps inside Constantinople become more visible. The churches glow softly. The streets are filled with people waiting. The walls remain under attack. The Ottoman army is preparing its last push. And now, as the light fades, the defenders face the most difficult decision of all. There is no longer enough strength to protect every section. They must concentrate on the most important places. But even those places are weakening. The Ottoman soldiers continue. The defenders fight. The battle moves closer to the walls. The city feels smaller. The empire feels smaller. The ancient world behind the walls is becoming more fragile. The Byzantine Empire has existed in some form for more than 1,000 years. Its people have inherited traditions from Rome. Its rulers have spoken Greek. Its churches have stood for centuries. Its scholars have preserved old writings. Its streets have carried generations of people. Now all of that history is concentrated inside one city. And that city is surrounded. The final evening is arriving. The Ottoman army prepares. The defenders remain. The last light falls across the walls. The sea becomes dark. The fires outside become brighter. The lamps inside become brighter. For a moment, Constantinople looks almost peaceful. But beneath the evening sky, the final battle is still moving. The defenders have one last stretch of resistance. The Ottoman army has one last major effort. The walls are still standing, but the pressure has become overwhelming. The city is beginning to lose its ability to respond. And somewhere in the darkness, Ottoman soldiers are already looking for a way through. The final breach is coming. The final defense is beginning. And the last moments of Constantinople are approaching. For now, imagine the city beneath the evening sky. Imagine the old walls. Imagine the towers. Imagine the tired defenders. Imagine the lamps in the churches. Imagine the sea beyond the walls. Imagine the Ottoman fires in the distance. The day is almost over. But the story is not. The final struggle is waiting. And as darkness slowly settles over Constantinople, the ancient city stands for a little longer. Just a little longer. The walls remain. The defenders remain. The people remain. But the final hour is approaching. The evening light is fading over Constantinople. The sun is low. The walls are dark against the sky. The city behind them is filled with small lights. Candles, lamps, fires. The sea is becoming darker. The Ottoman camp outside the walls is still active. The final struggle has entered its most important stage. Inside Constantinople, the defenders are exhausted. Many have fought since the previous night. Some have been wounded. Some are barely able to stand. Yet they remain near the walls. They know that there is no safe place to retreat. Behind them is the city. Behind the city are their families, their homes, their churches, their memories. So they stay. The Ottoman army continues to move. Sultan Mehmed knows that the city is close to breaking. The final assault has already lasted for hours. Now the Ottoman commanders are searching for a weak place. They know the defenders are tired. They know the walls have been damaged. They know the defenders have fewer men. The Ottoman army has been waiting for this moment. The strongest troops are ready. The janissaries are ready. The great guns have done much of their work. Now the army begins to concentrate its pressure. Imagine yourself standing inside the city. The evening air is cooler now. You can smell smoke. You can hear distant voices. You can hear the movement of soldiers. You look toward the walls. The defenders are still there. But something feels different. There are fewer men. There is more confusion. The battle has been going on too long. The defenders have reached the edge of their strength. Then the sound of fighting grows louder. The Ottoman soldiers are coming again. The defenders prepare. The attack begins. Men move toward the damaged walls. The defenders respond. The Ottoman soldiers climb. The defenders push them back. Another group follows. Again the defenders fight. The walls shake. Dust rises. The battle becomes almost impossible to understand. There are too many sounds. Too many people. Too much smoke. The defenders can barely see. The Ottoman soldiers continue to advance. The city is becoming harder to defend. And then the most important weakness begins to appear. The defenders have been stretched too thin. They cannot protect every point. They cannot repair every gap. They cannot replace every wounded soldier. The Ottoman army begins to find openings. The final defense is starting to break. Still, the defenders continue. They fight near the walls. They fight near the gates. They fight around the damaged sections. They try to keep the Ottoman soldiers outside. For a little while they succeed. But the pressure is enormous. The Ottoman army has fresh men. The defenders do not. The Janissaries move forward. They are among the strongest troops. They push toward the city. The defenders fight them. The old walls shake again. The evening becomes darker. The lamps inside the city glow brighter. The churches are still filled with people. Many are praying. Some are waiting. Some have no idea how close the enemy is. Others can hear the battle clearly. The city is now divided between those fighting and those waiting. But everyone is part of the same moment. The final moments of Byzantine Constantinople. Imagine a person inside a church. A candle is burning. The flame moves gently. The room is quiet. People are standing close together. They hear the battle outside. A deep sound passes through the walls. The candle trembles slightly. Nobody speaks for a moment. Then someone begins to pray again. Outside, another attack begins. The city continues to wait. At the walls, the defenders are struggling. The Ottoman soldiers are coming through damaged sections. The defenders push them back. But the attacks are becoming more successful. The walls cannot hold everywhere. The Ottoman army needs only one opening. And now one begins to appear. The defenders see movement. They rush toward the weak point. They try to close it. They fight. They push. They hold. But more Ottoman soldiers arrive. The opening becomes more difficult to control. The defenders are running out of men. The battle moves closer to the city. Constantine remains near the fighting. He understands what is happening. The city is beginning to fall. Yet he does not leave. He continues with the defenders. He has no desire to escape while his city is in danger. The final defense becomes personal. The emperor is no longer simply a ruler. He is one more man standing among the defenders. He prepares for the last stage. The Ottoman soldiers continue their advance. The defenders resist. Another group reaches the walls. Another gap is threatened. The battle becomes confused. Orders are shouted. Men move in different directions. Some try to close the breach. Others fight near the towers. Some protect the gates. Others carry wounded men away. The defense is losing its shape. This is often how a strong fortress falls. Not because every wall disappears. Not because every defender gives up. But because the defenders can no longer respond everywhere at once. One place becomes weak. Then another. Then another. The enemy enters through one. And suddenly, the entire defense becomes difficult to maintain. The Ottoman soldiers are getting closer. The defenders fight harder. But they are exhausted. The final struggle is now happening at very close range. There is no longer much distance between the two sides. The walls are no longer enough. The defenders must fight directly. The night is beginning. The city is dark. The Ottoman army is moving through the weak points. The defenders continue to resist. Then comes another important moment. The wounded Giustiniani is being taken away from the fighting. His men are divided. Some remain. Some follow him. The defense loses one of its most important leaders. Constantine is still there. But the situation is becoming almost impossible. The Ottoman army continues. The city is beginning to open. The defenders are falling back. Some continue fighting. Some move toward the inner city. The Ottoman soldiers enter through the breaches. The first groups move inside. For the people of Constantinople, the meaning is enormous. The enemy is no longer simply outside. The enemy is inside. The city has been breached. Imagine standing in one of the streets. You hear something different now. Not only the battle at the walls, but movement inside the city. Soldiers, footsteps, voices. The sound is approaching. People begin to understand. The walls have been broken. The city is no longer protected in the same way. Some people run toward churches. Some run toward homes. Some search for their families. Others simply stand. The moment they feared has arrived. The Ottoman army is inside Constantinople. But the battle is not immediately finished everywhere. The defenders continue to fight. Some groups still hold parts of the walls. Some gates remain closed. Some soldiers continue to resist. The city is not taken in one single instant. It is taken piece by piece, street by street, gate by gate, building by building. The Ottoman soldiers move deeper. The defenders retreat. The city becomes more confused. The night is dark. The lamps and fires create strange shadows. People run through the streets. Some doors are closed. Some are opened. Some families gather together. Others become separated. The churches become places of refuge. People move toward them. They believe they may be safer there. They pray. They wait. They listen. The sound of the battle comes closer. The great city is changing. For centuries, Constantinople had been the center of a great empire. Now Ottoman soldiers are moving through its streets. The old order is disappearing. The new order is arriving. And yet, in these moments, the people inside the city do not know exactly what the future will look like. They only know that the old world is ending. The defenders continue to fight. Constantine remains with them. He understands that there is almost nothing left to defend. But he still has one final duty. He will not leave the city. He prepares to fight. The emperor removes the signs that identify him as emperor. He does not want to be easily recognized. He joins the defenders. The final fighting moves closer. The Ottoman soldiers continue to advance. Constantine and the remaining defenders fight. The city is collapsing around them. There is no organized escape. No large reserve. No final army waiting behind them. Only a small group of men. And a city that has been under siege for weeks. The final moments are approaching. The night is now fully present. The walls are broken. The Ottoman army is inside. The defenders are scattered. The city is falling. But the final act has not yet ended. Imagine the streets of Constantinople. The ancient stones beneath your feet. The dark buildings around you. The glow of distant fires. The sound of soldiers. The sound of people praying. The sound of doors closing. The sound of footsteps. The city that had once seemed eternal is now changing before your eyes. The defenders continue toward the final battle. Constantine is among them. He knows that he may not survive. But he continues. There is no speech that can change the situation. No order that can restore the walls. No message that can bring an army. The emperor simply fights. And somewhere in the darkness, the final moments of Constantine's life begin. The Ottoman army continues to move. The defenders make one last effort. The struggle becomes smaller. The number of defenders becomes fewer. The city becomes quieter in some places. The battle becomes concentrated. The empire is almost gone. Yet Constantinople itself will not disappear. The city will remain. Its name will change over time. Its rulers will change. Its people will change. Its language and culture will continue to evolve. But the Byzantine Empire is reaching its end. The final hours are becoming the final minutes. The Ottoman soldiers are now inside the city. The walls that protected Constantinople for so long have been overcome. The defenders can no longer stop the army. The city has fallen. But one final question remains. What happened to the emperor? Where was Constantine when the final moments came? What did the last defenders do? And how did the city change after the fighting ended? Those are the questions that remain. For now, imagine the darkness settling over Constantinople. The old empire is gone. The walls are broken. The Ottoman banners are beginning to appear inside the city. The churches are still standing. The sea is still beside the city. The moon is still above the rooftops. The world outside continues. But inside Constantinople, history has changed. The Byzantine Empire has ended. The Ottoman Empire has entered the city. And the story is not quite finished. There is still one final chapter. One final morning. One final look at the city after the battle. And one final moment with the last Byzantine emperor. So let us remain here for a little while. Let the noise of the battle slowly become distant. Imagine the old walls beneath the night sky. Imagine the streets, the churches, the harbor, the sea, the lamps, the smoke, the tired people, and the soldiers moving through the ancient city. Constantinople has fallen, but its story continues. And in the next chapter, we will stay with the city after the fighting. We will look at the final moments of Constantine. We will walk slowly through the streets after the fall. And we will see how one of the oldest cities in the world began a new chapter under Ottoman rule. The night is deep now. The old empire has gone quiet. But the city remains. Still standing. Still breathing. Still waiting for morning.